How's it going, guys? I am back with another video. This is going to be my week 6 picks video. I'll just dive straight in. You guys hopefully know the gist of it by now. So just dive straight in here. So got the Thursday game right. Got the Niners final. It's always nice to start out 1-0 with the Thursday game. So much better than 0-1. Good start to the weekend. Got completely screwed with the Jordan Mason injury because he needed 8 yards and my parlay would have hit. And my sports book didn't void it because he played one snap in the second half. Really? That's the second week in a row I've gotten completely screwed over with my parlays. So that's a little annoying, but thankfully the Niners won. So not doing too great this year. I'm only 9 games above 500, and I'm still in the 80 percentile of my league here. So everyone's doing pretty bad. Just a weird season. I ranted about it in my videos, but yeah, hopefully can do a little better this week. Always good to start off 1-0. Hopefully it's a sign of things to come. Good for the Niners. They kind of almost blew that game. It was getting a little scary after that kick return the Seahawks got, but Niners held on. So the first game is the second London game of the year tomorrow, Jags and Bears. I'm going to go with the Bears in this game, but very hesitantly. I'm kind of tempted to pick the Jags. The Jags have been getting it going the past 2 weeks. They probably should have beaten the Texans. And then they beat the Colts last week, who obviously they're a pretty good team, respectable team. Their offense really got going, even though the Colts defense has just been pretty bad this year. But I just think the Bears defense is another breed for the Jags. Bears defense is absolutely insane. You can probably make an argument it's the best in football right now. But so I just kind of trust the Bears defense to kind of contain the Jags offense. I think the Jags offense is going to have a good game. The Jags defense, or sorry, the Bears defense is going to play well enough to hold them to around. Oh, sorry, get some tabs open here for my was looking at Jets Bills trying to make my pick. But what was I just saying? Just lost my train of thought. Yes, I think the Bears defense is going to play well enough to end up holding the Jags somewhere in the I would say the Jags probably scoring maybe from 20 to 23-ish this game. I think the Bears offense has a pretty good game, but the Jags defense also has its fair share of bright spots. Very, very up and down defense. It's been poor for most of the year, the Jags, but even last week they were playing pretty good defense in that fourth quarter. They allowed, I think, 24 points, so that's obviously not good. But I think the Bears offense has been getting it going. I think they end up scoring just enough points. I definitely think this is a close game. I don't think either team blows either one out. I think the Bears end up scoring around, I'll say 23-ish, 23 to 27. I can see that range. I think they narrowly win this game, but I really am tempted to pick the Jags. They're getting it going. They've been playing better football, coming off a good, solid win. They play good in London. They have in years past against the Bills. Last year is kind of when they turned their season around, went on that winning streak. So I am tempted to pick the Jags. I don't think I'm going to bet on this game because I really think this is kind of almost a coin flip, and I'm going to narrowly go with the Bears in this one. Cardinals Packers definitely feel really good. The Packers. Cardinals obviously coming off that comeback win against the 49ers last week, but the Packers are at home. I just think I feel really confident that they win this game. They take care of business. They're the better team. Matt LaFleur usually doesn't fall into the trap game scenario. He'll have the team ready to play. Jordan Love's been a little rusty the past 2 weeks, more so the Vikings game than the Rams game last week, but I guess naturally, obviously the Vikings game is his first game back, but maybe this game he knocks the rust off. The Cardinals defense, it's not been very good this year, so Packers offense could have a good game. Packers defense has been balling out. I think they could contain the Cardinals offense. Cardinals offense opening drives, they've been very good. They've scored a touchdown, I think maybe every drive of the year, their opening drive, and then they've had sequences where they just go cold. They just kind of stall out after that. But I just feel really good with the Packers in this game. It wouldn't completely shock me if the Cardinals won, but it would surprise me. I just feel really good with the Packers. I'm definitely going to include the Packers money line in my parlay. That's how confident I am with them. I think the Packers take care of business with a score of around, I'll say 20. I could see anywhere from 28 to honestly maybe even like 35 to the Packers. I think the Cardinals end up scoring, I'll say 17 to 21 ish range. I think that's pretty realistic, but I definitely feel really good with the Packers in this one. Oh boy, Colts Titans. This is a really hard one to pick. Obviously, 83% of people going with the Colts. The Titans, I think, are favored by 2.5. I'm a little surprised at that. I thought they may be favored by maybe a point or so, just to basically pick them game with the spread. But I mean, this is definitely a coin flip game. I do not have much confidence. I would honestly do a 51-49 probability. Not too sure about this game. I originally was leaning Colts, and I'm like, I thought about it a bit more. Went with the Titans. Think I'm going to stick with the Titans. Richardson, I think, is probable. So I obviously he's going to play if he can. Flacco will head back to the bench. It's really fun to see him play. But the Titans got it going against the Dolphins, and yes, I know the Dolphins are terrible, and they had Huntley starting pretty much in an emergency situation. He barely had any practice reps, things like that. So he was not in sync. It was just a sloppy football game. The Titans ended up taking control late, but it was kind of right there for the taking for the Dolphins the whole game. They were like down a fair margin where they could come back, but they just had no offense. Titans ended up pulling away, winning the ugly game. But I mean, the Titans, they definitely should have won week 1 against the Bears. Week 2, they could have beaten the Jets. And week 3, they definitely deserved to lose the Packers. But I mean, Titans aren't like they're bad, but they're not like a complete dog shit football team, like a typical 1-3 team, I guess. Yeah, 1-3 teams I won't say aren't typical dog shit teams. It's still kind of the start of the year, but Titans have just had moments where it's like, Jesus, like what are they doing here? But they got it going. They had the bye. They get an extra week to prepare. Colts are I want to say they're dealing with injuries. They announced a couple guys out, but I forget who they are at the top of my head. But I want to say the Colts I feel like the Colts were favored originally. And then maybe I think the Colts announced their injuries and the Titans got the line favored to them. But for to go from underdogs to 2.5 points favorites is quite a jump there. So maybe I don't know what the hell happened. Maybe the Colts weren't favored, but I don't know. I could have sworn they were. But I just think Jonathan Taylor, that's a big one for the Colts. Just remember that one. I think the Titans, they're able to stop the run game. And Will Levis, by the way, I think is supposed to start for the Titans in this one. But if the Titans are able to stop the run game, obviously it helps that Taylor's out. Force Richardson to pass. He's kind of bound. We've seen from his games so far that make a bad mistake or two. Titans got a really solid, stout defense. So I think they could contain the Colts. They have a pretty good pass defense too. So obviously, if you stop the run, force them to pass. I mean, balanced defense overall for the Titans. But if you stop the run, force them to pass, it's obviously going to help with Richardson making a mistake or two. Colts defense is really bad. Titans, I think, are going to be more of a run first team from now on. Brian Callahan has kind of said, he's reevaluated the offense in a bye week to do that. I think they're going to be more of a run focused team. So that definitely the Colts run defense, well, their defense is just bad in general. So if they're able to gash the Colts in the run game, Will Levis just going to limit his bad turnovers. They could battle the bad turnovers between Richardson and Levis here. Just thought of that one. More so Levis, but it's just very indecisive about this game. I think the Titans defense is going to be the deciding factor. I'm going to say Titans win. I'll say 20-17. I think this is a really close game. I could see maybe 24-17, 24-20, something like that. I just think the Titans offense does just enough. Their defense wins them the game. The Colts definitely, their key to win the game, I think, is their defense needs to step up, force Will Levis into a bad turnover, Their pass offense has been kind of getting it going, and they're just going to try to get the run game going. But I, definitely a coin flip game. Very easily could be persuaded, but I'm going to very narrowly go with the Titans in this game. Oh boy. So Drake May's first start. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm unfortunately going to have to go with the Texans in this game. I mean, logically, there's no reason why they shouldn't win this game. I They're getting Joe Mixon back. Nico Collins' son, IR, so that sucks for them. He's probably been the best receiver in the league for the first couple weeks here, and he's on two of my teams, so that definitely sucks for my teams, but to my fantasy teams. But I mean, the Texans are just obviously a lot better offense, defense, coaching. Pretty much everything is, especially pretty much everything is better for the Texans than things are going for us right now. The only possible logic that says we could win this game is the Texans are kind of due for a loss. They've not really. Just look at the record; they're 4-1, so they are kind of due for a loss. But they've won two games in a row, and their one loss is a blowout win to loss to the Vikings 2 weeks ago. So sort of they're due for a loss, but not really. And we're due for a win. Should have won last week. We should have won week 2 against the Seahawks. So the Texans are sort of due for a loss. We're sort of due for a win. And Drake May's starting, really no film on him. The only meaningful game he played was at the end of the week 3 Thursday night game against the Jets. He came in and mop up duty in garbage time. Obviously, the game was over. He didn't really do too much. Had a nice couple throws, scrambles, but really not much film is the point I'm getting to. He did play preseason, so I don't know if they're going to watch preseason film, the Texans, or what they're going to do. But DeMeco Ryans really good defensive coach. Their defense is balled out most of the season. Kind of been up and down, but it balled out most of the year. Balled out last week, made Josh Allen look awful, 9 of 30. And I just think he probably has a really good game plan. He blitzed the living shit out of. He's not a big blitzer, DeMeco Ryans, but he blitzed the hell out of Caleb Williams week 2, another rookie. And that was when the Bears offense was really struggling. They've kind of pulled it together. But I think that's exactly what he's going to do to Drake May. He's probably going to blitz Drake May a lot, kind of probably try to overwhelm him, make it complicated for him, especially with our offensive line. It's just absolutely god awful. So he's probably going to blitz the hell out of poor Drake May. May's probably going to get beat up to shit in this game, take a lot of hits. I don't know. That's the only logic that says we could win this game is Drake May gives us a spark. He balls out, not much film on him. Our offense clicks it into gear, which it sort of did that last drive, or the second to last drive against the Dolphins, where Polk should have had that touchdown. Correct ruling on a stupid rule, but yeah, just not much logically for my team. But of course, I'm gonna have some not disbelief, disillusion that my team can somehow win the game. But yeah, just not looking too good for my team. Hope I'm wrong though. Saints Bucks or Bucks Saints rather. I feel really good with the Bucks in this game. I would have probably picked them even if Derek Carr was starting for the Saints. If he's going to be out multiple weeks, it looks like. They're starting Spencer Rattler. So again, sort of like Drake May, not much film on him really. Just gonna have to go to the preseason, I guess. I don't even remember off the top of my head Spencer Rattler if he played well or not in the preseason, but I watched all the preseason games, the highlights. I watched him play. I just can't remember how he did. But I mean, yeah. So same situation, Drake May. No, very limited film, if any, that's meaningful that you can prepare for. So maybe that Saints have that card up their sleeve. But Todd Bowles, really good defensive coach. Their defense played pretty bad last week. Probably going to be pissed off. And also, obviously, Hurricane Milton. Mike Evans talks about how they're kind of extra motivated. They're playing for a game more meaningful than just football. Something he said something along those lines. I forget the exact quote. But yeah, the Bucks are they've been the better team this year. Probably should have won last week against the Falcons. So they had a couple extra days rest from the bye. Saints played last Monday night, so they kind of on a short week, Monday to Sunday. That's obviously one less day than the typical rest you get in preparation. So Bucks are just better. Their offense has been really good all year, besides the Denver game. The Denver's really like been kind of the only good defense that they played this year. The Falcons defense is good, but it's kind of still figuring it out. Denver's kind of the only like good defense they played, and they really struggled. They only put up 7, struggled to move the ball most of the game. And the Saints defense is really good, even though it didn't play that good last week. It's been really good this whole year. Their offense after the first 2 weeks, so it's just taking a complete dive off a cliff. And Spencer Rattler, I'm just gonna assume he's a downgrade over Derek Carr. And obviously, the Saints are a big run first team with Clint Kubiak calling the offense, so the Bucks can stop the Saints run game, force Spencer Rattler into passing situations. Also, that's another thing I just thought of. Todd Bowles is a big blitz guy, just like I was saying with Texans Patriots. I think Todd Bowles is going to probably blitz the living shit out of Spencer Rattler, try to fluster him, make him into a throw a bad ball, bad decision, something like that. I just think the the Bucks offense has a pretty efficient game. I think they win this game around 27. I'll say maybe 14 for the Saints. I feel pretty confident with the Bucks in this game. Maybe 17 for the Saints, but I feel pretty good with the Bucks. I don't think I gave a score prediction for this game, but I'll just say Texans probably score around probably 28 maybe. And I'll give us maybe 13, 14 points. Really hope I'm wrong though. Oh boy, 3% of people picking the Browns. That is very sad to see. The Browns have just been an absolute dumpster fire this season. And Jesus Christ, I don't know where to start with this team. Watson has just been god awful. Their offensive line has been god awful. They've not really any run game. Their defense has been actually pretty good, though. It's just Stefanski's kind of come under fire with some of his play calling. But Jesus, oh God, Brown! I had such high expectations to them this year, especially coming off the year they had last year with all the injuries and their musical chairs of quarterbacks. They honestly should have just kept Joe Flacco. They can because of the Watson contract, but they should have at least brought back Flacco back as a backup. So logically, this is kind of a matchup wise, this is a disaster game for the Browns. I mean, their offense not got anything going. The Eagles' defense has been pretty bad for most of the year, with really the exception of the Saints game and the Falcons game. They played okay for most of it, but besides that, the Eagles' defense has been pretty bad this year. So maybe the Browns are overdue for a win. As bad as they've been, they probably should have beat the Raiders. They probably should have beaten the Giants. So they are kind of overdue for a win, but they're just a bad football team. And the Eagles haven't been too great either. They've been pretty mid. That's I talked about it in one of my videos, but they're saying that you are what your record says. I disagree with it most of the time, or not most of the time, but a good amount of the time. I think that's true right now for the Eagles. I think 2-2 is describing their season pretty well, and 1-4 describes the Browns season pretty well. But the Eagles coming off a bye, I just think they come in, with fresh legs. They're healed up. They get Brown and Smith back. They're getting healthy. They had the bye week, an extra week to prepare, clean some things up. I think Vic Fangio has a good game plan. The Browns defense, their offense struggles like they have been all year pretty much. I think the Eagles offense kind of gets back in gear in this one. I think Saquon is a good game. Brown and Smith being back is going to be big for the Eagles. I'm not going to bet on this game, even though there's not much logically that suggests the Browns can stand a chance. But I just don't. The Browns are bad, but they have enough talent where they can honestly win like any random game. So I know if I do bet on the Browns, they're going to screw me over. The Eagles, and they're going to screw me over, and the Browns are probably going to win the game. But I feel pretty good with the Eagles in this one. Just not much logically besides the Browns are overdue for a win. But the Eagles coming off a bye, just off a blowout loss, they're probably going to be pretty pissed off against Tampa. I just think they play a pretty complete game. Browns struggle again. I'll say Eagles take this one around 28, 14-ish maybe. I just think this is probably another rough one for the Browns. Oh boy, battle of the heavyweights in this one, which can't believe I'm saying that with the Commanders, who are 4-1. I cannot believe that. I'm so sorry, Washington. I'm picking against you again. I swear I'm not a hater. The only bad game where it's like, how the hell did this guy pick against them, was probably the Browns game last week. But the other games they were kind of expected to lose, except the Giants game. They were expected to win that one, but they should have lost. But besides those two games, the Commanders were expected to lose all of their games. So I'm not a hater. I just think the Ravens, they're red hot right now. I think they're the better team. I think as the season progresses, the Commanders are going to be good, but they're going to kind of fade back down to earth a little. And the Ravens are just going to kind of pick it up from here on out. They're on a 3-game win streak. Their defense has been playing really bad, though. And obviously, the Commanders' offense, Jane Daniels, has been this big story this season. So that could be the Commanders' offense could have a good game. They've gone off the past couple weeks. Even though the past 2 weeks, Jane Daniels' passing hasn't been like statistically great, their offense is still putting up a bunch of points. Commanders' defense has stepped up the last 2 weeks. It's been bad outside of those 2 weeks, but it's stepped up the past 2 weeks. But the Ravens are just kind of a different breed in this one. I think the Ravens' offense is a really good game. I think the Commanders' defense kind of looks like it did more so the first couple weeks of the year. I think the Ravens put up, I'm going to say 28, but I could honestly see them like just scoring at will, maybe put up 35. It's maybe a little too much. After that, it's going to be a little, yeah, I'll say maybe after 35, it's a little too bold. But I could see a scenario where the Ravens offense just explodes, puts up somewhere in the 40s. But I'm going to say Ravens end up scoring, I'll say anywhere from 28 to 35. I'll say 30. I'll go bold here. I'll say 35, and I know that's really bold. Commanders defense played well the past 2 weeks. I think Derrick Henry is going to be a problem for them. Lamar scrambling is going to be a problem for them. But as far as the Commanders offense, I think it kind of is a mixed day. I think the games, honestly, I think the Ravens, I could see a scenario where the Ravens just completely blow the Commanders out. I could also see a scenario where the Commanders win. If the Commanders win, I don't think they're going to blow the Ravens out. I think it'll be close. A lot of people are expecting this game to be close. You know, it is expected to be close by most people, I would say, but I think the Ravens kind of take this game handily. And again, I don't mean to hate on the Commanders. If anyone's a Washington fan watching this video, you guys have far over exceeded expectations this season, especially for me. But I just feel really good with the Ravens in this game. I think the Commanders' offense starts off hot, maybe, and then just kind of fades back down to earth, doesn't play great the rest of the game. I think they'll score maybe around 21, 24-ish points. Kind of just a gut feeling the Ravens take this game handedly by more than one score. No, it's bold. I'm going to look like such an idiot if the Commanders end up winning this game. They very well could, but I feel pretty confident with the Ravens. And 72% of people have picked the Ravens, so I'm not the only one that's confident with the Ravens in this one. But this will be a really exciting game to watch either way. Chargers, Broncos. This is a really tough game. I would pick the Broncos if the Chargers were not coming off a bye, most likely. I think that's going to be the deciding factor. This is definitely a low-scoring, grinded out, a lot of punts from both teams, defensive type of game. And those are the games that Jim Harbaugh really thrives in, really enjoys. I'm going to give the Chargers the very slight edge in this game. Their defense has been balling out this season. It's played very well, even against the Chiefs, who, yes, Chiefs offense has been very, mid-suspect this season, but still, it's the Chiefs. and they were down a lot of, because they didn't have Derwin James, Bosa, they were missing some other guy. They were banged up defensively, and they were balling out against the Chiefs most game. They held them to 17. So really good. Chargers defense just been really good this season. And with the exception of last week, where the Broncos offense went off, their offense has really not been good this season. Kind of struggled to move the ball upfield, score points. I guess that Tampa game they looked good too, but that the Tampa was just beat the hell defensively, and it kind of showed, and they kind of faded down as the game went on after the first half. But I just think the Chargers defense is going to, both defenses, I think, of a good game. Again, I think this is kind of a defensive battle, a lot of punts. But, I mean, the Broncos, of course, could win. I'm going to give the very narrow edge to the Chargers. I'm going to say Chargers win. I think this is a 17-13-ish, 20-14-ish type of game. I feel pretty confident with a score of around that. I don't really see either team scoring more than 20. Just two good defenses, two kind of suspect offenses, but I think the Chargers are the better team. And even though it's on the road in Denver, coming off that bye, they're banged up, getting an extra time to prepare, get healthy. I just think they very narrowly win this game, and they win the grinded out defensive football game. But it would not at all be surprised the Broncos win. This is probably a 55-45 probability game for me. Not at all surprised the Broncos win. No, not a lot of people are probably going to be looking forward to this game because it's probably going to be a lot of defense, punting, and most people don't like that. But I don't mind a good defensive game as long as it's just not bad offense and it's good defense. I don't mind those games. So I'm kind of excited for this one to see how it plays out. Steelers, Raiders. So definitely going with the Steelers in this game. They've lost 2 in a row after starting out 3-0. They probably could be 5-0. Probably should have beaten they should have beaten the Cowboys last week with the injuries and such, but they got outplayed. They still nearly won the game. Took the Cowboys 4th and goal, do or die to win at the end there. Raiders started off red hot against the Broncos. They were up 10-0, and then after that pick six from Minshew, the game they forgot how to play football most of the game. They got absolutely blown out, just bad performance. Minshew's benched, Aiden O'Connell's starting. They get a trade Adams. They're just and then Christian Wilkins is on IR. I think he's on IR at least. I think he's out at least multiple games. I want to say they put him on IR, but I'm not 100% sure. But they're just kind of a mess right now, the Raiders. The Steelers, I think this is going to be similar to the game these teams played last year. It was in Vegas. It was kind of a low-scoring defensive game. I kind of think this is how the game plays out again. Steelers offense, I think, has not a good, but efficient day. I think they score around 20 to 23-ish. I think the Raiders offense has a rough one in this one. I think Steelers defense has a good game. I think the Raiders offense, Aiden O'Connell probably throws a bad ball or two, maybe turns it over. I think Aiden O'Connell will probably definitely have a turnover, but I think the Raiders offense is a rough showing. I'll say the Raiders score maybe 14-ish points. I think I 23-ish, 14 is kind of around the final score, somewhere in that range. I feel pretty good with the Steelers, although this is kind of a typical Mike Tomlin trap game where, you're the better team, you've been playing better, you have a perfect scenario where you should win the game, and you kind of come in flat and blow it. He's had a history of that in his career. That definitely could rear its ugly head for the Steelers in this one, and the Raiders could win. Everyone's picking the Steelers, like, no question, or most people are at least. I'm picking the Steelers without hesitating too much, but I also wouldn't be absolutely shocked if the Raiders pull this win out, but I would be a little bit surprised. As long as the Steelers don't fall into the trap game, they should win this game. Yeah, hopefully the Steelers, for their sake, end up winning, because this is a prime opportunity to get a good win here. Lions, Cowboys. So this might be a little bit bold, but I think the Lions win this game pretty handedly. I think they win by, I want to say, at least 14. And maybe that's bold. in Dallas. The fans are going to be going wild. Dallas coming off a win. They're still banged up defensively, though. The defense has been playing a lot better. But the Lions offense, after kind of being a little suspect the first couple weeks, is getting it going. They look like an unstoppable offense. Jared Goff coming off a 18 for 18 game and a bye week. So you had an extra week to prepare. The Lions weren't really too banged up, at least that I can remember off the top of my head. But I mean, everyone's, even if you're playing, everyone's beat up in an NFL season. So come in, get, you know, fresh legs, fresh body after a week of rest, extra week of preparation. And this has been the game the Lions are waiting for. They've, since that primetime game late in the year last year with the whole reporting ineligible thing, the Lions should have won the game. They didn't. And it looks like they were in a matchup in the playoffs, and then Dallas got upset by Green Bay. So this is the game the Lions have been waiting for to get their revenge in Dallas. They're going to be extra motivated. I think this game honestly plays out similar to the Ravens Cowboys. I don't think the Lions will get that big of a lead. Like I think the Ravens were up 20, it was 20 something to 3 the Ravens were up. And I don't think the Lions get up that big, but I think the Lions honestly, if they get the ball first, I think they're going to go right down the field and score a touchdown. And if I think that's honestly the key for them. Well, even if they have to, the Cowboys get the ball first, I think they're going to win the game. The same scenario, but I think the Lions just take control very early. They come out on fire offensively, and it's like, oh, the Cowboys defense just back to the Cowboys defense against the Ravens and the Saints, just bad defense. Lions defense is playing pretty well. Cowboys offense has been kind of suspect. They got the run game going with Rigo Dowdle last week, but the Lions defense been playing really good this year. So really good against the run besides the Seahawks game with Kenneth Walker. So yeah, I think the Lions offense goes off in this one and maybe cools the Jets a bit early. They just heavily pound the ball once they're up big. Cowboys run defense has been pretty bad outside of that Giants game. Well, it's been bad when teams have a good run game. I guess like the Ravens and the Saints, when they played then, their run defense was bad. But like the Giants, not a great run game. They stopped them. The Browns, pretty much no run game, stopped them. And then the Steelers didn't really get much going. Their run game, they run it a lot, pound the football a lot, but it hasn't really been too great this year. But when the Cowboys face a really good run team offensively, they kind of struggle this season. I think that's the same case. I think Goff has a good game. The passing game gets going. I think the Lions, Gibbs and Montgomery, their ball carriers, get a lot of carries as the game goes on. I think the Lions going to be a big early. I think the Cowboys play catch up. They'll probably end up doing the typical Cowboy move where they're down a pretty big margin and then they end up getting some late scores to make it interesting. But I think the Lions win this game by at least 2 scores. Maybe that's super bold, but that's how I see the game playing out here. And almost 80% of people in my pool have picked them, so surprised percentage isn't closer in this one. The Cowboys could win this game. I'm making it seem like it's impossible for them to, but I mean they could win this game. I just feel really, of course, any team can win any game, but I mean at home, even though on paper compared to the past couple of years, you're probably a little worse, but still a good team. You're at home. Your offense has kind of been figuring it out. Your defense has been playing better. They, of course, could win this game. I'm not going to count them out completely, but I do feel pretty good with the Lions. Okay, let me get a sip of water here. Okay, Falcons and Panthers. Definitely going the Falcons in this one. I feel pretty good with the Falcons. The only thing that suggests the Panthers could win this game is the trap game factor. Panthers are bad, but they've shown spurts when they look serviceable with Dalton. Obviously, they blew the Raiders out, and then against the Bengals they were competitive, and then they were up 7-0 against the Bears, and I'm like, Jesus, so they seriously gonna like compete with the Bears, and then the Bears ended up just steamrolling them the rest of the game after that. But and the Falcons have kind of been prone to some trap games over the years. It's a new Falcons team, new coaching staff, obviously new quarterback with Kirk. So maybe it doesn't play as much of a factor, but the Falcons are just a better team. They've been getting it going. They've won 3 out of the last 4 after that week 1 game against the Steelers. They just looked bad. They played pretty good since then. Their one loss since then against the Chiefs, which even in saying that, they probably should have won the game. They had their chances at the end, just came up short. Um, but yeah, the someone is launching fireworks outside my house. I don't know what the hell they're celebrating, but that's okay. Maybe they're celebrating Drake May's first start tomorrow. But Falcons are just a better team, better offense, better defense. Their coaching's been better than the Panthers. The Panthers defense has been terrible this year. I think the Falcons have really been trying to get the run game going. They've kind of struggled most of the year. I think this is the game they get it going. Bijan, a lot of people complain about him, hasn't done much for their fantasy teams. I think he probably gets in the end zone as a good game in this one. I think the Falcons passing attack is a good game, but they don't really utilize it that much. I think coming off a game where Kirk Cousins threw over 500 yards, almost 60 something, I think almost 60 passes. I think they kind of, you know, scale it back a little, especially because I think they'll have control this game for most of it. So I think they're going to utilize the run game a lot more. It's kind of, I think Kirk Cousins probably has under 20 pass attempts, maybe a couple over, but I don't think this is a game where Cousins is going to be throwing more than 30 something passes, if I had to guess. I think the Falcons just get the run game going. They utilize it the whole game. They ride with it the whole game. I think their defense plays pretty good. I'll say the Falcons win this game with a score of around, I'll say 27 to, I'll say 14-ish. I feel pretty good with the Falcons. I don't know if I gave a score prediction for this one. I'll say the Lions win this game. I'll say 31, 35-ish range. Say the Cowboys score 21 to 24-ish. Then I know I did this game. I don't think I did a score prediction for this game. Yes, I did do a score prediction for this game. I remember now. Okay, Bengals Giants. I feel pretty good with the Bengals in this one, even though the Giants have actually been a pretty sneaky team. They should have beaten the Commanders week 2 if they had Graham Gano, their kicker. And the Cowboys, they were right neck and neck with that. They definitely deserved to lose week 1 against the Vikings. But Cowboys or 2 weeks ago, the Thursday game, yes, it was 2 Thursdays ago, the Thursday game, trying to remember as I'm talking here. They could have won that game. Giants defense has been not balling out, but very under the radar this season. It balled out last week in Seattle, but very surprising win for the Giants last week. They looked really good offensively, officially minus Neighbors and Singletary, who were both out against the Bengals. I just saw, or they announced Neighbors was out yesterday, I believe, but Singletary, they announced he was out today. So they're gonna have to win 2 weeks in a row without those guys. So obviously that's gonna be hard, but they did it last week against the Seahawks defense that's kind of sus right now. But it's still a pretty good defense, even though it's been bad the past couple weeks. In Seattle, by the way, Giants defense caused a bunch of problems to Geno Smith in the offense last week. They barely even ran the ball, the Seahawks. That Giants defensive line, they did not want to test the run game against it, I guess. Wasn't working at all. The very limited runs they did do. But Giants defensive line is causing issues. Bengals offense, however, has just been on absolute fire. I think they probably have a similar output in this game. I think they probably score around 28. I think that's a good number. I'm fairly comfortable with around that range. Giants offensively, obviously the Bengals defense has been pretty terrible outside of the first 2 weeks of the year. Why they're 1-4 primarily. But Giants offense, I think it kind of returns to the Giants offense that we expected to see without Neighbors and Singletary. I don't think they'll play awful. I think they'll probably be able to move the ball. I think the Bengals defense, they've had some players only meetings. I think it plays a little bit better in this game. I think I'll say the Giants score around, I'll say 17-ish, 20-ish. I could see the Bengals scoring more than 20. I could see them put up 31 to 35, probably not beyond that. But I feel pretty good with the Bengals. Definitely could see a Giants upset here. At home, you've been playing pretty good football. Bengals been struggling mainly defensively. Bengals offense is kind of due for a shitter of a game. I was in the mix. I was in the middle of saying shitter and shitty game, and it came out at the same time, like both words combined. But that's okay. Yeah, I feel pretty good with the Bengals in this one. I think Ja'Marr Chase probably kind of a gut feeling is a good game. I think this is kind of the game the Bengals get back on track. It's a respectable, kind of under the radar, better than we expected Giants team. But I could see the Giants pulling off the upset in this one. Wouldn't absolutely surprise me, but especially at 1-4, I think the Bengals are definitely kind of in we cannot afford to lose this game mode. And the last game, so Bills and Jets. So Jets are just, I don't know, Jesus, what the hell is going to be? Fired Robert Saleh. So that just came out of the absolute blue. That surprised the living hell out of me. He was on the hot seat, I guess, going into the year because he's been bad with the Jets, record-wise at least. But I mean, he's had Zach Wilson, and Mike White, and actually Mike White was pretty serviceable when he was playing for the Jets. But he's just had a musical chair of quarterbacks that are just all bad. Well, Zach Wilson a majority, but just bad backups outside of Zach Wilson. Um, I mean, yeah, the Jets are they fired. I can't believe they fired him 5 weeks into the season. He was on the hot seat, as I'm talking about here. Getting back to my point, he was on the hot seat, but most people expected they would move on from him. Maybe if they didn't make the playoffs, or if they lost the wild card round, or something like that. But 5 weeks into the year, there was kind of some rumors about tension with Saul and Rodgers. Rodgers debunked that after, the narrative is Rodgers got him fired, probably went to the office. Rodgers said they were completely cool with each other. I don't know if I believe that or not, because Aaron Rodgers has a big history of finger pointing and being a diva and blaming people. So Aaron Rodgers, the player, is great. Aaron Rodgers, the personality, is kind of a big question mark. That's kind of been his theme throughout his whole career. But they fired Saleh. I can't believe they did that. They promoted their defensive coordinator, Jeff. What the hell's his last name? Ulbrich, I want to say is his last. Yes, I think it's Jeff Ulbrich. He's been a really solid DC with the Jets. He's actually been calling the defense the past couple of years, which has been really good. More so last year and this year so far. But 22, they had a good defense too. But and then they also demoted Nathaniel, which if anyone's going to get fired, I thought it would for sure be Hackett. He's been a bad offensive coordinator and coach outside of pretty much that 1 year in Jacksonville in 2017, the Saxonville team that narrowly beat us in the AFC Championship. Outside of that year, Nathaniel Hackett has really not been a good offensive coordinator. The Jets offense, they've struggled the past 2 weeks, the Jets. They've lost 2 weeks in a row just because of their offense. It's been so bad. Their defense has played well enough to certainly win the past 2 games. Their offense has been so bad. And they fired Robert Saleh, a defensive-minded coach for that. So, yes, he's the head coach, so he kind of takes responsibility, but I just very shocked that he was fired. this early into the season. So yeah, I have a so obviously this is my worst year for picks betting fantasy I've had my entire life. And I had the Bengals winning the Super Bowl. They're 1-4. And I had Robert Saleh as the coach of the year, the Jets at 12-5 winning the division. So my predictions have completely fell off a cliff this season. But they promoted Todd Downing to call offense plays. He was obviously not good with the Titans, even though they did get the 1 seed in 2021 with him calling plays. With all their injuries, they had like a record amount of injuries on IR that year. It was insane that they somehow got the 1 seed. They were 12-5 too. And besides that, he was the OC of the Raiders, I believe. I want to say in 17, and I think they had a pretty mid offense. So I mean, he hasn't been too great in his career. They're looking to have a faster offense. I don't really know what to think of it on. He's a, a I guess he's an upgrade over Hackett if I had to pick between the two, but it's not like a significant upgrade that's gonna, I don't think, change the course of their season. But as bad as things have been for the past 2 weeks of the Jets, just these past 2 weeks, they were 2-1 and they were getting hyped. Rodgers, I think, was leading the league in touchdown passes. They were getting hyped by the media, and then the Denver game and the Minnesota game. It's like they're the worst team in football, you would think, from the media perception. I think honestly the Jets are fine. I had them losing this game, which I could see them winning this. I think this is close to a coin flip game. I'm going with the Bills in this game because the Bills are they've lost. They lost last week narrowly to the Texans, and they've lost two in a row. It's not a great reason, but I do not see them losing three in a row. At least usually when they have their skid in the season, it's kind of like towards the middle of the year. But obviously, you lose 3 games in a row, you're in the middle of a skid. So I mean, their offense is, even though it didn't play good last week, they put up 17 against the pretty good Texans defense. So I think in this game, the Bills offense, I think they get their run game going. And I think Allen has a pretty good day passing. But I think the Jets defense puts up a pretty solid performance. I definitely think this is a low scoring game. I can't see either team scoring more than 24. I can't really see that. Maybe I could see the Bills putting up 26, but I think that's probably the absolute max outside of like a pick six or, a muff punt or a turnover with good field position, something like that. I think, yeah, Bills run game gets going. Said that. I think Josh Allen is a pretty efficient game passing. He did not play good last week. 9 of 30, three straight incompletions. So at the end of the game there, they punted. So Josh Allen's probably really pissed that he's probably blaming himself for the reason they lost last week. I just think their offense is a bounce back game. I think the Jets defense plays well enough. I think the Bills score, I'll say 20, I'll say 23. I feel pretty good around the range of 20 to 26 for the Bills. I'll say right in the middle, 23. The Jets offense, I could see a scenario where the new OC, you get a new, obviously you moved on from Hackett, maybe it's a spark from the whole team in general, but their offense, the new play caller, I guess that's what I'm thinking now is maybe it's difficult to prepare for their offense because new OC, but I don't think they're going to drastically change their offense, their schemes, what they've been running offensively, the Jets. So the Bills can probably just prepare as if Hackett's still the offensive coordinator. But maybe Todd Downing adds an extra wrinkle to the offense, something that's the Bills don't prepare well for. Who knows? But I could see a scenario where the Jets offense just plays really good and they kind of look really good, but then the Bills defense, I think, kind of, I don't know, just shuts them down as the game goes on. I think the Bills defense it's very hard for me to pick if this game starts out with the Jets offense looking good going down the field or the Jets offense like really struggles. There's miscommunications, there's drops, they get nothing in the run game. Fans are booing, and it's like, Jesus, like, well, that did nothing changing offense coordinators. Their offense is bad. And then if that scenario happens, they start off bad. the Jets offense, I think they'll pick it up as the game goes on, kind of similar to how they did last week against the Vikings. But if they start off hot, I think as the game progresses, the Bills defense is going to clamp up. My gut is telling me the game starts out, the Bills kind of take control early. The Jets offense is struggling. And that scenario I just laid out was like, Jesus, that did nothing late, changing the OC. And then I think the Jets defense clamps up. The Jets offense gets it going. It's close. It's like the Jets they're back on track. They're gonna win the game. But I think the Bills do just enough. I think this is a close game. I see some people predicting a Bills win, not fairly handedly, but like a 23-14-ish game. I think that's not too far off from mine. I think this is a one-score game. I don't think the Bills win this. I mean, it's definitely possible the Jets struggling offensively, but I don't think they win by more than one score. I was leaning Jets, and I think I had them picked originally, and then I kind of thought about it more, listened to videos, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna change it to the Bills here. Would not at all surprise me the Jets win though. Obviously, 86% of people are picking the Bills in this game. Figured it'd be a little closer. I'm honestly tempted to pick the Jets because that scenario very well could happen where their offense just clicks into gear. Rodgers looks good again, but I just think the Jets start off slow in this game, and it ends up costing them at the end. I think the Bills' offense was just. I think the Bills' offense starts off hot, and that's what ends up winning them the game. And the Jets starting slow is what loses them the game. Bills' offense, defense starts off hot. Jets' defense and offense start off slow. I think that's going to be the deciding factor. But I could see a scenario where the Jets. I know I keep saying it. I'm talking myself through this game. If I want to change my pick, I'm very indecisive. I'll say 60-40 probability. I'm not too confident in the Bills in this game. I think I have a 23 what the hell did I do? 20 I think I did a 23-20 finals. That's why I have 43 for my tiebreaker here. But yeah, that's I mean, I honestly might change my pick, but I think I'm gonna stick with the Bill. If I do, I'll make a note of it in my video in the comments. But I think I'm probably just gonna stick with the Bills. Most of my picks I feel pretty confident with. The ones I'm kind of iffy on this game. Definitely this one. Not really this one. This one definitely, and then this one. So most games I feel fairly confident with, but oh boy, yeah, pretty good week of football though. Pretty good week of football. Hopefully, this Sunday night game doesn't get friggin' delayed from weather. I'm staying up till 1 in the morning to watch football after I barely got any sleep the night before. I was so busy. I woke up only a couple hours, and I woke up to watch the London game, obviously, and I'm like, Jesus. I'm like doing my fantasy teams, my picks leagues I'm in. I'm writing stuff down, and oh my God, yeah, I looked like a friggin' zombie when I woke up in the mirror, and I had to stay up till 1 in the morning to watch the friggin' Dallas Steelers game. I'm like, Jesus. But that was a good game. A lot of people were shitting on it, saying it was terrible, but I actually enjoyed it. So yeah, make sure I didn't miss anything here. Yeah, okay. Got all the games, so hopefully I do better with my picks this week. Good luck to you guys with picks, fantasy, betting, all that good stuff, as I say in my videos all the time. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to end it here. Take it easy, relax, enjoy football. Best of luck with everything football related. And thank you guys for watching. Take it easy.